this is just one more of our continuing training series that we're just trying to help our Rotary members and local business people get the word out about the organization. But as Rotarians are all business people of some sort or another, to learn about advertising, I thought would be a nice opportunity to find out what's happening in the year 2022 in terms of advertising trends and what opportunities are there to promote a business. So with that, as more people are coming in, why don't I turn the mic over to Kristen Long, who is going to do an introduction, a little bit about her background. She is with CBS 3. So Kristen, I'm going to turn the mic over to you. Please take it away.
Happy to meet all of you here tonight. Before I screen share, I'll just share my background. I started off as a media buyer. So in 1979, that was like a cool thing to do. It didn't pay very much money. I worked in Manhattan during legit Mad Men days, right? So middle-aged white guys ran all the advertising agencies, and advertising agencies had mantras like, it's not creative unless it sells. That was our mantra at Benton and Bowles. So it doesn't matter how sexy and how wonderful your copy is. If you're not selling product, who cares? I called on a large advertising agency after that, Ted Bates, and their big deal was the unique selling proposition. What is it that makes your business different than anybody else's business? What can you say about yourself that really differentiates you from anywhere else? But then I went to the dark side of sales very early on, and I've had a wonderful career working in New York, Scranton, Baltimore, Philadelphia, back and forth a few times on the sales side, working for the Hearst Corporation. I did 20 years at ABC. I did some time at Tribune, PHL 17 during the good Phillies years. I worked at Fox Sports, and now I'm back in Center City at CBS 3, which is a Viacom CBS company, but they want us to call ourselves Paramount now. So we really are an entertainment company, and I'll speak to the streaming trend and how that's become increasingly important, and even as a matter of identification with all of our companies. So I have a clear enthusiasm for my product and for what I do, and yet I'll share with you, I'm not selling anything here tonight, right? I have mad respect for all my peers who sell competitive products, and you'll see, I hope, how all these products really go together. It's not one or the other, it's all of them together, and it's how do they work together. Even digital products, someone coming into the industry now, 44 years after I came into it, would think that digital is the bomb, right? Digital is everything. What do I need to get a social media presence? And what do I need to do to get that streaming presence? And yet, some of the tried and true advertising vehicles work best in accompaniment to digital, not instead of it. So that's just sort of my preview. I'm happy to screen share a very short PowerPoint now. Let's go back here. And I'm going to start with why TV. So we do have other Rotary districts. Welcome to all of you. Nice to see you. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes,
I always need to ask, because sometimes people are looking at my file menu, and that's not good either. So this quotation, doesn't it sound like it should be attributed to Ben Franklin and not to Ted Turner? But legit, Ted Turner's the one who said it. So early to bed, early to rise, work like hell and advertise. And you know that you need to advertise, business people, right? You know you need to do it, and you need to do it because you need to spend more. You need to spend money to make more money. That's really the model. It's really a return on investment model. The only reason to spend money is to make more money, or to improve your image, and to get your branding out there, and to increase sales, and to show your price points, and to build brand awareness. But if your competitors are advertising, you should probably do it too. You just need to figure out which mediums you're going to use and what kind of messaging you're going to use. I've been in TV for a long time. We have a trade association, TBB, Television Bureau of Advertising, and I lifted this slide right from their website. The big concept in TV advertising and for all advertising really is reach and frequency. So reach is how many people am I going to hit, and frequency is how many times am I going to hit them. So, it's lovely to run a one-off message in the Super Bowl, and a lot of people are going to see it, but is that actually going to motivate people to go buy something? Betsy and I discussed this as recently as last night over dinner talk, right? And we had an automotive advertiser this year who did advertise in the Super Bowl, and we all came off the couch to say, oh my God, how did he make that happen? So of all of the advertising platforms that are available to you, broadcast clearly leads the way. If I can move the bar over here and show you where that bar goes, so it's 80%. And the caveat at the bottom, it's a media comparison study. It was done in 2022, so it's fairly recent. So as you trend downward, you can see that broadcast and cable combined is #1, followed by broadcast TV, followed by email. Cable, but you have so many choices in cable, right? Cable's very segmented and you have lots and lots of channels to pick from. Social media is big, search is big, streaming programs, and it goes down from there. So as you invest your dollars, clearly television is the most expensive of the advertising medium, but we think it's as return on investment for what you pay and what you get, that it's priced competitively with other platforms. The majority of TV program reaches through linear TV. So this is how it all sort of goes together. So 80% reach is broadcast and cable. TV plus streaming programs on TV with ads. So every one of us in broadcast has a streaming platform to go with it. So you can watch us in any number of places. If you're not watching us on TV, please watch us on a stream. Watch us on your phone. Watch us on your iPad. Watch us concurrent with something else. And then finally, I'm going to get this bar out of here again, TV plus streaming programs with ads on any device. So you can find us wherever you need to find us. The whole concept of time shifting to watch news in real time, to watch other programs in real time. Certainly, you can watch sports on any number of platforms. And your ads are embedded with whatever you're buying. So they carry, you're buying a full package when you buy something on TV. Your advertisements are going with the program that you're buying. Another reiteration of this is that people spend the most time with television. So this is hours per day. The average has dipped over the years, but it's still 5 hours and 47 minutes for television. 3 hours and 46 minutes of that are on broadcast TV. So think about your own viewing habits and think about the kinds of patterns you have, whether it's local news or Jeopardy or something early in the morning or a game show or even the late night TV shows. A trend that we have seen over the past 20 and 30 years, but most recently it's exaggerated, is that late night television ratings have fallen off in favor of early morning television ratings. So I don't know if it's because people have a commute or they're up and they're watching weather, but for whatever reason, the early news can't start early enough. All of us are on the air at 4 a.m. and we're doing traffic by 4:30. And we're giving you weather throughout. So really, early morning has become an increasingly important day part at the expense of late fringe, because the people who get up early have to go to bed at some point. So the late night talk shows are diminished because of that. This shows how the internet usage skews towards the day and TV skews towards the evening night. So depending on what you're selling and depending on who you're trying to hit, this might be important to recognize that as the internet and as TV go together, you really want to use them in tandem to hit that sweet spot between 4 and 8 p.m. where they're very close, or one or the other in those other day ports, 4 to 9, 9 to 4, 8 to 1, 1 to 4. But they do work in tandem together. Similarly, TV has the highest reach for all ages. Maybe you're surprised at this. You would think that younger people would be exclusively on social media or watching longer form programs on their phone, and that's actually not the case. Cord cutting is all the rage, of course, and platforms like Hulu and Roku and other streaming possibilities, but smart TVs allow everyone to watch everything all the time. You can find anything that we're running on broadcast TV somewhere on a smart TV, somewhere in a streaming platform. So TV continues to have the highest reach for all ages, 18 to 34, 25 to 54, 35 plus. I'll point out to you that adults 35 plus is the typical demographic for voters. So even though you can vote when you're 18 years old, 18-year-olds don't vote and 25-year-olds don't vote. The typical target demo for a political advertiser is 35 plus. That's who votes. It's an older demographic and it skews older. And it skews even a little older than that in the midterm elections when there's no presidential election like the year that we're in right now. The difference in time spent for TV versus other media is dramatic for all age groups. So this sort of takes you up and down tier-wise to show you adults 18 to 34, 25 to 54, and 35 plus, again, daily time spent with each medium in number of hours. So if you're only buying one platform, you're hitting a moving target. The recommendation of any advertising agency and anybody who does advertising for a living is to really find a media mix that allows you to hit different people of different ages at different times on different platforms. The mix is everything. For adults 25 to 54, a sweet spot for advertisers. The reach, TV is the highest reach, followed by social media, followed by search. Time spent on TV is 4 times higher than social media. You might not have guessed that. For adults 18 to 34, TV is the highest, followed by social and streaming, but the numbers get a little bit closer. 73 versus 72. And for adults 18 to 34, the time spent TV is dramatically higher than any other platform. So John Wanamaker, who was a Philadelphian, said, half the money I spend in advertising is wasted. I just don't know which half. And I think that this is a conundrum for many small business owners who don't have a very sophisticated advertising agency or to figure out what they're doing with it. So attribution is a really important element of advertising, right? To talk to your customers and find out, where did you see my ad? Where did you hear about me? Was it word of mouth? Where did you see it? And then do more of that. Find out what's working and do more of that. So I'm going to stop sharing now just to say, you know, I think that advertising in general, and remember that I've been on both sides of the desk, is really about storytelling. So once you know what your story is, you know, which platform are you going to choose to tell it? I mean, you're about to hear from Outdoor and you're about to hear from Philadelphia Magazine, where storytelling is the bomb, right? It's really a beautiful, graphic, you know, colorful way to tell a story. But so you're looking at a platform, and you're looking at messaging, and you're looking at a media mix. And then finally, you're always going to be working within a budget. So you want to be able to maximize that budget using available platforms, get all the information you can, figure out how to tell your story, give it a shot, figure out what's working, give some attribution to your current customers, and go from there. TV, finally, is expensive. So, you know, all those reach numbers are really, really great. And yet TV is expensive, and you need a commercial. You need a commercial to tell your story. So there's ways that you can do it that are cheaper than others. You know, here I am at CBS. I manage 2 television stations. We have the CBS affiliate, which is Channel 3, and we also have a CW station, that's the CW 57. They sort of work in tandem together. We do a lot of duopoly selling, where the CW has a lot of what I'm going to call to action advertisers. So the aforementioned attorneys, right, and home health care. And a lot of other kinds of My Pillow. We had lunch with the My Pillow people today out in Wayne. Call to action advertising, where you're looking for an immediate return on investment, and you have something very measurable to say, does this work? You know it works because you're making a phone ring and you're moving product. So that's one way to offset costs. I'm happy to answer any questions, but maybe at the end of the presentation, Lisa, we'll all answer questions based on.
I think that's a better way to go, but thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Great presentation. I enjoyed those slides. All right. Shall we move on to Betsy? Betsy Ross from Philadelphia
Sure.
Magazine. Welcome.
Hello, great to see everybody here. And I'm so pleased to speak after my friend Kristen Long, because she really teed it up beautifully. It really is all about a media mix. And to prove that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background too, because after working in the wonderful world of television for many years with networks like ESPN and Sprout, which is a preschool channel, I made a move over to visit Philadelphia. I had fallen in love with Philadelphia. I'm not a native here, but I've lived here for more than 20 years, and fell in love with the city, so much so that I went to work for Visit Philadelphia, the tourism office. I managed the With Love XOXO campaign, where I bought media from the likes of Andrew Turner, who is here now from OUTFRONT, and from Kristen Long. And while I was buying media, I learned very quickly about the importance of that media mix, and that it is a mistake for any advertiser to put all of your eggs in one basket. I'm with Philadelphia Magazine now. I've been here going on 3 years. And again, I love Philly. It's just a new way to promote it. I'm going to share a deck here as well. It's going to be a little bit different in perspective, but hopefully equally informative and educational. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, let me take this.
Yeah, it looks good.
Screen now. There we go. So the thing about Philadelphia Magazine is that we are actually way more than a magazine. We are a print magazine. We are a collection of digital platforms, websites, social media sites, and events. So all in all, the brand of Philadelphia Magazine is the purpose of it. Our mission really is to increase the pleasure and decrease the pain of living in the city and region of Philadelphia. That's what we are all about. And there's a lot of ways we do that. We do that through print, digital, social, and experiential. So we have a 360 approach. In terms of our audience, we have a very strong, loyal, highly educated, high household income audience in this region. I do want to note that between print and digital, what's interesting to me is that the crossover between those two audiences is about 30%. So again, to Kristen's point about a media mix, if you're buying only print or buying only digital, you're not getting the full Philadelphia Magazine audience. So it does make sense, even within one partner, it makes sense to have a media mix. Social, we have 14 accounts. We have more than 850,000 followers across those, very engaged. And our print readers, you can see here, most of them are homeowners, college grads, very strong rate base. And actually, you know, everyone 18 to 74, we have very, very strong readership. And I do want to point out, we do have 4 publications that we print annually. We have Philadelphia Magazine, Philadelphia Wedding comes out twice a year. Be Well Philly comes out once a year. It's very focused on health and wellness. And then we have Philadelphia Home and Design, which also comes out once a year. Those magazines are all available on newsstands. And as well, they all go to subscribers. Our editorial content, this is a snapshot. And again, I'm happy to share this with anyone who's interested afterwards. I can send it as a PDF for anyone who would like something to read before you fall asleep at night. How about that? So this is a snapshot of a typical year where we have best restaurants, we have real estate focus. May is always top docs, one of the most popular issues of the year. We hear a lot about people using it as a resource until the next one comes out the following year. Best of Philly in August is always a hot one. November, most influential Philadelphians. And then we also have special advertising sections. And the thing about these special sections is that they are formatted to look like editorial. They're formatted so that they all look alike, but advertisers and partners can buy in. And part of why this is important is because they are more affordable ways to get into the magazine. It's a lower price point than buying your own brand ad. And as Kristen mentioned about, if you buy an ad on TV, if you buy ad time, you have to produce a commercial. Similarly with print, if you're going to buy a page in a magazine, you either need to create and design and make an ad, or we can do that for you for a fee. But these formatted special advertising sections are ways to align with our brand and get in front of our really attractive audience at a much lower price point. So we have travel focused, we have health focused, we have top doctors profiles. We have one section in particular I'd like to share with you. One that I love is every December we have a special section called Philly Gives, and we shine a spotlight on all of the companies, organizations in Philadelphia who want to tell their story about how they give back. And we can work with you in terms of us sending out a photographer, or people can submit their own photos, but it's a great thing to celebrate, right? Like, it's a good thing to get out there, and it's a wonderful way for people to tell their story to our readers at an attractive price point. We do have other opportunities for people to tell their stories. Everybody wants opportunities to align with our editorial content, which I do too. However, our editorial and our advertising are church and state. We are not pay to play. You cannot, there's no way to spend money with us to get us to write an editorial story about you. It doesn't work that way. However, I can sell you what is called an advertorial, which is a paid media opportunity to tell your story. And we do have writers on our creative services team who are not in print, who can help. They're skilled storytellers. They can tell your story and craft it in a way that's authentic to you, but also in the voice of Philadelphia Magazine. Our digital And social opportunities are endless. And any kind of digital or social opportunity you've seen somewhere, we can deliver that. And we can deliver it to our audience, or we can deliver it to your very targeted audience that you're looking to get in front of. When I say explore our channels, what do I mean? What I mean is, if you go to our website, you will see sectors at the top that say City Life, FUBUs, which is all food and drink, Be Well Philly, which is health and wellness, real estate, things to do. And we see that the average time spent across our 7 channels on the website is 3 minutes and 28 seconds. So they're engaged, our readers are engaged. And our editors across these different channels are experts in their field. And this is a great way for advertisers to align with our content in specific verticals. We limit how much advertising is available in these channels, but these channels are all opt-in. You can have an e-newsletter or an e-blast going to these channels. Again, digital capabilities, we can do run of site digital campaigns, in-article video. I did notice that on some of Kristen's slides where she showed the strength of different media platforms, social was very high on there. A lot of digital platforms were high on there, and we can deliver the Philadelphia Magazine and beyond across those platforms too. So again, if you learn nothing else about Philadelphia Magazine today, you should know that we are more than just a print magazine. We can do targeted email marketing. We do this a lot, again, to our audience or to any target group that you're looking to reach in a really affordable way. We also do custom content, which is like an advertorial, but in digital. Again, we can align your story. You can see here, we did a story with Lyft, and they get all of the digital branding all around the digital article, and we guarantee how many impressions they're going to get. We're going to put traffic drivers around our site to make sure that this article gets seen by the people you want it to be seen by. And then let's get social. We have loads and loads of social products across our platforms. We do Instagram lives, we do Instagram posts and stories. I'm keeping the focus here on Instagram because it is our most popular paid social media platform. We have a presence on Twitter, we have a presence on Facebook. We're exploring TikTok right now. Anyone here on TikTok? Yeah, me neither, but getting there, we're getting there. But so Instagram, you can see here that phillymag.com has more than 200,000 followers. The wedding, the events, everyone, these are very strong, and it's a relatively low cost of entry to advertise there. And then lastly, I'm just going to touch on some of our experiential opportunities. This is the way we bring our issues to life. We celebrate all of the different things coming up. So for example, we have a best restaurants issue, and the way we're bringing that to life in May this year is FUBU's La Fête, and it's a high-end food event featuring some of Philadelphia's top chefs, and people can buy tickets to attend. You can also sponsor and get exposure within the magazine and align with all kinds of things. We have a Philadelphia Magazine Summer Social, which is going to be at Cherry Street Pier. We're all going to get together in person outdoors and celebrate a kickoff to summer. And again, there are sponsorship opportunities, ways to align, and also to tap into our audience in person. Best of Philly, we do most years at Dilworth Park. Very excited to have this back in person this year. Overall, Philadelphia Magazine, between our signature events and our custom events for different advertisers, we do about 75 events a year pre-COVID. During COVID, we moved to doing about 30 virtually. And I was really, really thrilled to see that we were able to still deliver a different experience, but a Philadelphia Magazine brand experience in a virtual world. And we're so excited about going back outdoors. We do have an event. We have 2 events coming up in April, so very excited about those. We have a whiskey and fine spirits festival every October at Lincoln Financial Field. We also have a wine festival, which we are either going to do in September or November. And lastly, I wanted to mention ThinkFest. Every November, to align with the most influential Philadelphian issue, we host an in-person or virtual Think Fest where we really hear about what's next for Philadelphia. Who are the thought leaders? We hear from those thought leaders. We're in conversation with them, with some of our editors. It's really, really engaging and a great way to hear it from other smart, interesting, and switched on people in our city. And then I just wanted to put up on the screen here, and I don't care who I'm presenting to, the number one question I get is, great, how can I pitch something to Editorial? So here you go. You got two email addresses here. If you want to get any editorial coverage or consideration, you can contact our editor, Brian Howard. You can send it to pitches@phillymag.com. If you're interested in any kind of advertising and paid media opportunities, I'm your girl. You can just reach out to me. So thanks for giving me the floor for a few minutes, and I'm looking forward to hearing your questions and also from hearing from the team at OUTFRONT.
Excellent, Betsy. Thank you so much. Well, we will continue then with our next speaker group. And like we said earlier, we'll take questions all at the end. I've already got a list of a few notes that I'm making here. So would the team from OUTFRONT please say hello and take over the microphone, and whoever wants to do a screen share. We welcome your presentation. And what's very interesting, I'm not sure that everybody here knows that outdoor advertising is way more than just a billboard these days. So I'm sure you're going to be covering that in your presentation.
That it is. Andrew, I'll introduce, we have Andrew Turner here, our marketing manager. We also have Sue Ridgway, who is a senior account executive. And I am John McShane. I am the sales director for all of Pennsylvania and South Jersey. I've been doing the out of home. I'm in my 23rd year. I truly love all the changes that we have made in this industry, and we're continually growing, which you will see in our presentation that Andrew's going to present. So thank you for allowing us to speak. Kristen, great job. Betsy, great job. And Andrew, you're on.
And can everybody see the screen?
Beautifully, thank you.
All right, give me 1 second here to bring this up. Well, I'm very glad that that Kristen and Betsy went before me. Thank you, Kristen, for kind of level setting there in terms of what we think. And I completely 100% agree. It's all about the media mix. You'll see a part of this presentation is about out of home and how it amplifies other media. But just to give you kind of a really, large view of what OUTFRONT is, let me step back for a second and explain where I came from. I was a media planner. I worked with Betsy. I worked with the likes of Kristen. I never actually worked directly with Kristen, but I was a media planner and really really kind of digging into what the audience composition of the media mix is and figuring out who your target is. And bringing that audience through into what we do when we plan and when we go on to buy. So there's a lot of reach and frequency. There's a lot of audience composition and indexing and stuff like that. So thank you, Kristen, for kind of taking that on. But our goal here today, well, for OUTFRONT specifically, is to let you know a little bit about ourselves and our medium. So OUTFRONT is national in scale, but local in depth, and our brand purpose, and I think this is important for this audience right here, is that we help people, places, and businesses grow stronger. We try to ingrain ourselves in the communities that we serve and the businesses that we do business with. So just trying to level set some takeaways. We want to introduce you to the world of out-of-home advertising. We want to highlight some of the reasons why out-of-home is the most efficient media format for driving awareness. And then we'd also, sorry, hold on a second. We'd also want to demystify some things you may be wondering about billboards in the Philadelphia market itself. So I'm going to play this short little video, and this just gives us a little bit more gives you a little bit more background of what OUTFRONT is and what we do. Can anybody hear this?
Not hearing any video audio yet.
No audio.
No audio, of course. You know what? The videos are beautiful. You see, I can talk through some of this.
Okay.
There's no way I'm going to figure that out quickly. But essentially, you see some of what we do and where we do it, transit, billboards, walls here in Miami. So I'm just going to skip forward here. And again, just a short agenda, what we do. We think it's best to level set, give you a little bit of out of home and what value it brings to the overall media mix. And then we're going to get into driving audiences, hopefully discover why right now is the golden age of out of home advertising. And then finally, we'll get a little bit into who or what OUTFRONT is with a specific look at OUTFRONT's growth in the Philadelphia market. So let's jump in. I had another video, but we're going to skip that one. So technology. It's okay. We cover a lot of it. We'll send this around and we'll shoot out the videos. They're very engaging. So, what you would have seen is the splashy side of out of home, right? The Times Square executions, like the wall in Miami, kind of these larger than life out of home executions. But a lot of what you know, that type of mystified what out of home is can be executed on the local level. So what exactly do we mean when we say out of home advertising? Today's out of home advertising is a dynamic mix of billboards, digital displays, transit, street furniture, cinema, and place-based media. Place-based media includes stuff like elevators, gas station TV, et cetera, et cetera. That's the whole point of out of home, though, is that it surrounds and immerses consumers during the 70% of the day that they spend outside of their home. That's where the term out of home media comes from. So with various options, advertisers of any size can craft a campaign that drives engagement. It's not just billboards, right? Here locally, OUTFRONT can put together a campaign that targets the suburbs with some digital displays, and then layer in street furniture. You see a picture of our bike share advertising right there to kind of get you those people in the city, the young and trendy audiences, the people that are going out to eat, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of people hear out of home and they think billboards and they think, well, that's too expensive. And back to kind of Kristen's previous point, on an impression basis, out of home is the most efficient media format to drive awareness. And I think these various executions help show why out of home can be, you know, more obtainable than what you might have thought of before. So what does out of home do? And this, I think, is I mean, when we talk passionately about out of home, this is what we're getting at. And out of home connects people. In that 70% of the day that people are outside of their home, OUTFRONT is that, or sorry, out of home is that connective tissue. OUTFRONT is a part of that. It influences. It's an active space for targeting by context, by demographic, by mindset. Bold and relevant visuals, as you see there, delivered at the right place at the right time, reach the consumer with a message when they're in the buying mode. So it also activates. Out of home gives consumers product suggestions close to the point of sale. By talking to people on the move, brands are able to appeal to customers who are in an active mindset, absorbing information when they're out and about. The idea is quite simple. The more they see, the more they buy. Out of home, and this again is what Kristen was talking about, what Betsy was talking about, what we're all talking about, is the connective, media mix. Out of home amplifies. It works with other media to give messages amplification, ensuring that ads are seen by a large audience. So really what we like to say is the audiences are most likely to search on their phone, pass along messages word of mouth, or share on social after seeing an out of home ad. And finally, again, what it does is it inspires. So great creative has the capacity to stay in our minds and hearts forever, right? Everybody remembers a really good billboard campaign they saw at some point in their life. What's more, out of home is one of the last opportunities for brands to have that "look, mom, I made it" type of moment and put their name kind of up there. So that's what out of home is. It reaches people no matter how they're consuming their media. It makes them stop, as you can see here, notice and buy. No other advertising format is quite ubiquitous or creatively versatile. But really what I said from the beginning was driving audiences, right? Connecting with people. And just some trends and stats that I think are really important to level set kind of where we are as an industry. Out of home is, again, it's the golden age of out of home. We're seeing heightened awareness, a rise in trust, and an increased ability to drive action. 70% of consumers, you see there, have increased awareness and appreciation of out of home versus pre-pandemic. So there is kind of this trust recession out there. Social media, digital, are all very volatile advertising spaces. People don't want to be next to, content that's out there. Out of home is one of kind of those last bastions of brand safety. 58% of consumers consider out of home to be the most trustworthy medium. So you can see more than half people do that. So in this type of brand safety, I think is why out of home is uniquely positioned, post pandemic, to really continue its already surging growth. On the roads, we get this question a lot. On the roads, total miles are up. They're up 8% year over year, which is an all-time high. Over 80% of consumers say they notice out-of-home advertising on the highways and local roads. So we're still out there. We're still making an impact. I mean, if you guys are traveling at all, you know this as well. And really driving it home, right? We know that, it drives awareness, right? It's an awareness driver, but it also is an action driver. Around 40% of consumers have visited a website, searched for more information, or made a physical purchase after seeing an out-of-home campaign. Close to 30% of consumers have downloaded an app. That number increases to nearly half when looking at Gen Zs. I should also say that out-of-home is the #1 preferred ad format amongst millennial and Gen Zs. And again, it goes back to that trust that it builds. So I'm going a little fast. I apologize, but I want to get through everything and leave time for questions. So that's what out of home is, and that's what out of home does. And this is who or what OUTFRONT is to kind of the Philadelphia region. I mentioned it before. We provide local depth, national scale. And this is just a little bit more background of our presence here in the Philadelphia market. So OUTFRONT covers 97% of the Philadelphia DMA weekly, from the suburbs to the shore and everywhere in between. We get you. That's kind of our little tagline, we get you. But yeah, really it is kind of a big scope. And John's going to want me to also say, we also have inventory out into the Harrisburg area, the hilly markets, up to the Allentown area, and over to Pittsburgh as well, the western half of the state as well. So, but specifically here in Philadelphia, we have over 200 static bulletins throughout the DMA. There's a heavy focus on I-95 and the bridges, as well as the suburbs. And you can see it down there. There's a little call out AC as well. We have some inventory down there. Digital bulletins, you'll see there is one of our monument units in Conshohocken. We have over 50 across the market on roads like I-76, I-95, the PA Turnpike, the New Jersey Turnpike, Walt Whitman Bridge, 202, and the list goes on. So really that's like targeting the suburbs, but more specifically in the city, we also have metro lights to kind of fill in there and talk directly to city audiences. So we have metro lights. They're located at the entrances and exits of parking garages. They target drivers as well as pedestrians, as you can see there. Again, another misconception is metro lights only talk to people driving or parking in the garages. That's clearly not true. Just a quick fact for you. This is from Parking Authority. As of October 2021, capacity in parking garages was 94% of what it was in 2019. So they like to say they're back. And then another street level execution that OUTFRONT works with Indigo Bike Share to sell is bike share. So we have over 200 locations throughout the city. 2021 was the strongest year in ridership. It was up 30% over 2020. And I know what you're saying, 2020, nobody was riding. Actually, 2020 was one of the best years that bike share had ever had in terms of ridership. So this is phenomenal growth for this system. And this kind of does really get to the core of connecting with communities and kind of delivering on our purpose there, because not only can you target high impact areas or places where people go brunch like Green Eggs Cafe, but you can also target the underserved areas of the city, kind of like West Philly, South Philly, Northern Liberties, et cetera, et cetera. We also have media in Camden, Trenton, and Wilmington, but I didn't want to go too far into that. What we wanted to kind of promote here is kind of the digital bulletin expansion. And what we've done OUTFRONT here has done over the past couple of years. So you'll see in 2021, we added a total of 21 new digital faces to our already expansive coverage, and we're pushing out towards Western Chester County. And by the end of 2022, we look to fill in more holes, not only in the Western Chester County area, but also in the South Jersey area. So our hope is by the end of 2022, OUTFRONT will be one, if not the largest, of the digital bulletin out of vendors in market. So we're expanding, like I said, into a bunch of different counties: Bucks, Montgomery, Chester, South Jersey. But the difference is we are now the exclusive provider of some of the most awe-inspiring monument displays in the region. And when we talk about the next generation of out-of-home in the Philadelphia region, we believe this is it. So we're looking to expand there as well. Just finally wrapping up, just a couple case studies, right, of advertisers. And we just wanted to highlight that not all advertisers are Coke and Apple, right? So our top categories include local entertainment and attractions, education, restaurants, and the types of campaigns they run include awareness, recruitment, sales-driven campaigns as well. What you're seeing here is the Food Trust, and I don't know if you've ever been to one of their farmers markets, but they leveraged over the summer, they leveraged some street-level advertising that were tailored specifically to the communities that the assets were in. So they had a local restaurateur, and they tailored the creative specifically to that kind of intersection. And their goal was to increase website visitation, and they did that by 17% compared to the previous month. So, you know, it just helps to show that not everything about out of home is kind of, you know, huge billboards or Times Square or, you know, whatever else it might be. This is a quote from another one of our clients. And really, it just shows that out of home drives engagement, action, and amplification. It's impactful, it's local, and it resonates and helps to win hearts and minds. So we hope that after this, out of home is more approachable. You understand why now is the best time to consider out of home, and how OUTFRONT is revolutionizing the space, not only from a national perspective, but also from a local perspective. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew, very much. John, did you have anything to add?
No, Andrew ended up making sure he also mentioned, especially having some people here from Harrisburg and that area, that we also have coverage out there, and we're also expanding out there as well in the upcoming months. So we're absolutely on a huge growth, and looking forward to seeing the additional assets we'll be adding.
Excellent. All right. And Susan, did you want to add anything?
So thank you. And this has been great. I mean, listening to Kristen and Betsy talk about some things where I was involved with in the past with my in my past history with marketing. But with Outfront, I just wanted to let everybody know that, you know, we are across the country in 50 major markets. We have over 600,000 assets that are across the country. And so just talking about Philadelphia now, we do have that local reach, but we can help you with any kind of national exposure if that's what you need. So across the state, across the country, we're here to help.
And Rotary is national, international, in fact. So thank you for that. Before the speakers leave, I'll ask you to just type in the chat, please, whatever is the best contact email or phone for anybody here tonight who wants more information about advertising with your any of your products. So thank you for that. And let's open up to questions. Do any of our guests have questions?
I have a question for Betsy and I have a question for Andrew. So my question for Betsy is, you know, no one does events like Philly Magazine does events, right? And I know you cut back, but and no one can predict the future. But is there a model going forward where you're going to be doing hybrid events, where you're going to be doing events that are going to be both in person and have some hybrid version of it? Is this our future? Will that stick for people who don't want to come out and play, but still want to enjoy something that feels interactive, but also feels safe?
That's a great question. My first response is you are correct. I do not have a crystal ball. I wish I did. I don't think we have seen success in models that are hybrid. We do see success with doing a virtual event and we see success with an in-person event, but so far we have not found a model that is successful for sponsors and for a successful attendee experience that is hybrid. The best example, the closest we came to it, I think, was with some Be Well Philly yoga series and Be Well lifestyle kinds of series where we tried to do some Instagram live with some influencers and an in-person. That was about as close as we came because with the Instagram live, you can also watch it later. So people could do the yoga moves and do the exercising later, but it wasn't the same as having the in-person all together experience. So I don't think that's something that we will continue with. It was a good experiment, but ThinkFest, which will be in person again this year, was probably what I would see as our most successful virtual event. And we have thought long and hard about keeping that virtual because with the in-person event, it's a one-day event and it requires people to invest quite a bit of time, including the speakers. Doing it virtually, we had so many people say yes to participating because they could engage in the conversations from the comfort of their own home and also from not having to spend time driving to Drexel's campus, parking, dealing with all of that, taking time away from work. The difference there is that without an in-person element, the networking and the actual exchanging of ideas of the attendees is also missing.
So it's not a one size fits all.
I don't think it is. I think it is. I think virtual works and I think in person definitely works and we'll probably carry on with those two paths.
Hybrid, not so much. Okay. And Andrew, I don't know your business well, except for the clear enthusiasm of my BFF, Emily Nichols, for your product and for your company. But it seems to me from the outside looking in that digital billboards have been a game changer. And maybe you can speak about how just turnaround time for someone who has a messaging that's appropriate to digital copy can take advantage of digital outdoor as opposed to a static billboard that required copy change or a timeline or something else to go with it. I think the digital stuff is and it looks beautiful. So
yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, and my colleagues can jump in too, but I will say, 10 years ago, nobody wanted digital. It was a learning curve. They didn't want to share flips, right? So for digital, there's 8 flips. For most companies are 8 flips. So you're sharing a spot every 60 seconds or so. So that was a big thing, but you're right. It's the creative flexibility. It's the turnaround time and getting that up. We don't have to send it out to print, even though we're pretty quick with printing a vinyl. We can do it. We could turn that around quickly too. But really it's more about the technology that's embedded in the digital. So like you can do dynamic creative, you could do time triggers, you could do day parting, you could do a bunch of different things with the digital. And we're really only starting to see that come to fruition in the past several years or so. And there's a whole kind of next generation of digital technology, pretty much in the form of programmatic as well, that we're kind of experiencing now. So that's real-time buying of out-of-home assets. And I think, back in, probably 2 decades ago when digital bulletins and digital out of home started to kind of creep up, that was probably the end game of thinking about it programmatically. So I will also say, I don't think I mentioned this, and Betsy, I think you mentioned it with Christian, you mentioned it too about, you buy a spot, you have to create the ad. We have an award-winning creative studios, and that is offered free to anybody who purchases, or any client that purchases space with us, which is unique. That's unique for OUTFRONT. But really, what is super unique is the talent that we have in-house. So we have a phenomenal creative director here locally, but we have over 50 award-winning creatives across the country. And it's just phenomenal because you don't need to spend the money to have somebody create a billboard. And we love to do it, like that's what we live and breathe out of home, right? And we're passionate about it. And our creative people are more passionate about it. So when you talk about kind of the digital, it's like the sky's the limit with that. There's so much flexibility with that. We can get crazy with it. I have some crazy ideas that I can't even, nobody can execute, but we'll get there someday.
Ooh,
But
Andrew, that's what I want to hear about. I want to hear
Crazy
the
stuff.
crazy ideas.
yeah, no, I mean, it really, once you combine dynamic creative with programmatic and kind of real-time buying, and I talked about the efficiencies, right? From a CPM basis, out of home is one of the most, if not the most efficient for driving awareness. But if you layer in programmatic too, it's like you're only buying when you need to buy. And we have diverse audience targeting too. So like, not only are you buying when you need to buy, but you only need to talk to the audiences you need to talk to. And it's complex, but it's really one of the reasons why I came to OUTFRONT. Their focus on technology and research is unlike any other player in market.
Thank
Did
you.
that answer your question? Did I?
Not only did it was a great commercial for your company, but it's only answered the question. So thank
He
you.
did a great
No.
job. And I mean, and to really simplify it, if you had an idea and you decided tomorrow morning you wanted a billboard up on Monday, it can happen. We just
Nice.
need to do a creative execution, and you could be up and running come Monday, and you could have multiple creatives and really utilize your budget if you have multiple things to say.
And thank you, John. Looking at the clock, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do know, Betsy, you have a hard out at 8 o'clock. So I want to thank you so much for telling us about Philadelphia Magazine and all the possibilities that come with that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Can the rest of you hang for just 5 more minutes, just in case there are any other questions? Yeah?
I
Okay.
appreciate the opportunity. It was really lovely to speak with the Rotary Group, and please reach out with any questions if I can be helpful at all with print, digital, experiential, or if you just want to ask about advertising in general. Thank you.
Wonderful. Have a good evening, Betsy. Thank you. We've got a question coming in from
Thank you.
Juliet. How do you measure impact and engagement with digital billboards?
I can take that one.
Yep.
There's a variety of ways you can do it. And we always like to talk to clients about what their KPIs are, right? So what's your key performance indicator? What are you going to judge the success of your campaign on? Is it going to be website traffic? Is it going to be increase in social media awareness, whatever it might be? And let's work backwards on how to do that. A lot of clients' goals are on their end, right? So we need to work with you on understanding what the lift is to your website traffic or what the lift is on your social media. That being said, what we can do is we have the ability to run attribution studies as well. So without getting too bogged down in kind of the technology that goes through that, we can gauge awareness of digital out-of-home assets. We could gauge awareness of any out-of-home asset, really, and then create a survey that will help us understand what it is. So whether we want to run a footfall study, which, say like Dunkin' Donuts had 25 units across the state, and they wanted to know how much traffic went by that billboard and went into a Dunkin' Donuts, we could do that. But just to caveat that, it's all black box data. So it's not like I could tell you this person went past this billboard. We could just say, all right, we saw X amount past the billboard, Y amount across went into a Dunkin' Donuts, and then judge kind of lift essentially. So.
All right, thank you. I want to throw out another question, and maybe while folks are thinking about this, I'll get to that first. Sorry. The question is about really zeroing in on the type of person that a Rotary Club or district might be interested in advertising to, in terms of we're looking for people who are community service minded. Like, is there a way to find that type of person, or somebody who's into philanthropy or volunteerism? While you're thinking on that, Mark has typed in a question very simply in a couple of words. What is programmatic in advertising? So if you could just clarify that first.
Programmatic simply is automating the buying process of media, let's say. So it really is digitally focused. And Kristen, I mean, I know that TV is there's some addressable TV out there, and I haven't bought TV in a while. But really it's digital, right? And so what it is instead of focusing on kind of the content of what your target is. So, and it kind of, it applies to out of home as well. But let's just say, for example, you wanted to target millennial moms. And the old way, the non-programmatic way of doing that would be to go to a website that has a high audience composition against millennial moms and buy an advertising space on that website. There's another way of doing it. And I don't know how to explain it a little. Susan, maybe you can jump in here and kind of get me to where I need to go, because I think I'm getting too in depth.
Well, I believe it just takes the human factor a little bit out of the scheduling. So you decide what audience you want to target. You decide what medium you want to buy. You set your budget. This would be done through a trade desk. So you would have to work with an agency or somebody who has access to a trade desk where they could do this. You have websites that have available inventory, or it could be OTT players. It could be our out of home players, our digital boards. And then you have people who want to buy that space. It brings them together in an automated fashion.
Much better.
And Mark, if I may, I'm happy to share what it means for cable television. So think about how many cable channels you have on your TV. A programmatic buy means you're not calling HGTV, and you're not calling TLC, and you're not calling CNN. You're saying to your advertising rep, here's my budget. And they're saying, you can get 1,100,000 eyeballs, but we pick the programs. Right. So now they're going to throw you into some sort of algorithm to say, here are the best programs across all of our brands and all of our channels, where you can simply hit eyeballs, and that's the measurement for it. So that's level. Yeah, we call them impressions. So an impression means, a person or an eyeball, and it's really sort of a standardization against all channels. So you're not buying fixed schedule, and neither is it remnant inventory. You're saying, I care about how many people I'm hitting. You go ahead and pick the most efficient way for me to hit them, and there's a medium mix. Cable can go further, and they can give you a lifestyle package where you're only buying lifestyle channels, or a news package where you're only buying news programming within programmatic. But they're giving you very strong efficiencies, Mark, because you're letting them pick the most efficient way to deliver those impressions, those eyeballs to you with a budget without getting too far in the weeds about exactly what you're buying.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so back to that question about really zeroing in on the target demographic, just any comments from any of the speakers? Because like I said, Rotary does have an interest in getting the word out about all the good work that we do and all the opportunities we have for doing volunteer projects and helping the world. And just curious, what's available now in terms of drilling down and kind of picking the details of the type of audience we'd like to see our message?
It's a great question, but candidly, it's not just math. And that's the good news, right? So trust your instincts. Your members watch what everybody watches, right? So, morning news is a cheaper day part on television. That's a lovely place to fish. We have some specific advertisers. I hope at least a couple of you watch CBS Sunday Morning, which is the Jane Pauley show on Sunday mornings. We have one advertiser, if you know David Kelleher from David's Auto. He likes that show specifically because it's just the right advertising environment for him. He likes the tone and the pace, and that it's Sunday morning, and that he's just talking to you, and he uses a longer message to tell it, and he introduces the show. So it's advertising environment as much as it's a specific psychographic or demographic about what people buy. There are agencies that do specifically African-American targeting and specifically young target. And you won't be surprised to know that they watch what everybody else watches, right? So really, I would say poll your membership on what they watch. I would say ask your members what they watch and have them ask their customers what they watch or what they listen to, which radio stations, whatever. Everybody knows what their commute is, right? So, you're going to hit them no matter what with one of the OUTFRONT because of their amazing coverage. I would say ask them. Early morning is great because it's an efficient place to hit a lot of people before they start their workday, right? And the messaging is fresh in their mind. Late fringe, I've already said, sort of trails off. People are going to bed earlier. The parts in between are more expensive. Early news, prime, late news is more expensive. I think a nice place to intro for something like Rotary membership and for small businesses specifically, and even the weekend morning talk shows, a Saturday morning talk show or a Sunday morning talk show, whether it's us, whether it's Good Morning America, whether it's something else. So it's more general than you think. There are companies, Lisa, Scarborough does qualitative research where they can give you, breastfeeding moms, people with kids about to go to college. They really can narrow it down and target it down. But I think it's almost too sophisticated for maybe a general approach where you'd like anybody who's relevant to join Rotary, right? So there's no restriction on that. That was a long answer. I apologize for my
No, it was very insightful. Thank you. And any response from the OUTFRONT team before we wrap up?
I just wanted to add,
right, and especially when you're talking about out of home and you're talking about TV, it's a one-to-many conversation, right? It's not a one-to-one conversation. And when we talk specifically about digital, and you're going to be on and you're going to get, from a programmatic standpoint, you're going to get this millennial mom or whatever it is. That's a one-to-one conversation because we're going to deliver that ad directly to that user, right? So there is a bit of art to it. And from an out-of-home standpoint, there's science involved as well. Kristen mentioned some of the qualitative stuff. We have a tool that can help us target and kind of pick units that are based on audiences. So there is a little bit of science there, but there's also the art part of it. And Kristen brought up a great point. You guys have a captive audience, right? You have a captive membership. Survey them, get their feedback, ask them, help them, inform your media strategy for sure.
Yeah, that seems very doable. Thank you. Do we have any closing comments from any of the speakers or the attendees?
I think Bob might have had a question.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you to all the speakers tonight. I told you in the beginning of this that as a lawyer, I began when we were unable or lawfully prohibited from advertising. Since that time, as a lawyer, I have been involved in large law firms, and we specifically targeted industries. We were an industry-focused group. So I advertised in American Airlines magazines, okay, because those people flew the routes that I wanted to hit. We did a lot of other targeting things, but now that I'm involved in, let me just say, more consumer-oriented issues like Rotary is consumer oriented. The Antique Automobile Club of America is consumer oriented. I'm looking to pull people, and it's been extremely, you've opened my mind tonight.
Oh,
And I want to thank you. Okay.
wonderful.
That's what I want to say.
Our exceptional pleasure. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Anybody else want to say anything? I'm so grateful, and thanks for spending a little extra time with us here. And apologies that our attendees, they didn't show up in the numbers that I had hoped, but do know that I am going to get this video to them, and I think many other people's eyes will.
The Sixers
will
are
be
playing the
open.
Nets tonight, and it's a really big game. So
Ah.
we'll watch this on the.
Competition. Well, then why don't you all get off the Zoom and get on to the rest of your night with great thanks to Kristen and the OUTFRONT team. It was really a pleasure and very insightful. I learned a lot, and I know that our other Rotary members and friends are going to be in touch, because we've got a lot now to a lot more options for promoting ourselves and our businesses, thanks to you all. So thank you again, very, very much.
Thank you.
Great to
Thank
see
you.
everybody.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thanks for
You
coming.
too.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye-bye.